Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Wei Koh from Revolution. It gives me inordinate pleasure to announce the fruition of a collaboration between three of my favorite people. And that is, of course, the legend that is Auro Montanari, and the two individuals that created one of the most successful young watch brands of today, Furlan Marri and Andrea Furlan. First of all, how are you guys?
Fine.
Very nice. Yeah, fine.
So I want to talk to you about a project that was born out of friendship, a friendship that has endured over 2.5 years and blossomed during this period with a project that has involved the creativity of these three incredible individuals. So let's hark back to 2.5 years ago. It was August of 2021.
Yeah.
I went to go visit a young upstart brand called Furlan Marri, which at the time during Geneva Watch Days in August of 2021 was basically Andrea in a watch roll, right? And he was in, he was in Icebergs, which is this shared, I guess, space that all the independents exhibited. And I had been kind of stalking him already because I was already a huge fan of what he and Hamed had created. And we started the chat. And on the way over there in the Four Seasons, I saw this incredibly handsome gentleman. And of course, I realized it was my friend Auro Montanari, reposing on the terrace like a character from a Visconti movie. And so then I remembered this, and as I walked over, I was talking to Andrea, and I knew that Andrea had a huge admiration for Auro Montanari. And spontaneously I said to Andrea, would you like to go meet Auro? But Auro, you had already been aware of Andrea and Hamed's watches, yes?
I like to follow the micro brand evolution. And they are great vision.
How did you already own two Furlan Marri watches, Auro?
I just ordered by on web.
Really?
Yeah.
You, Auro Montanari,
Yeah.
you just like got onto the web and like everyone else ordered.
Yeah, right.
Incredible.
I remember he came and then he touched the case like this and he said he was not saying nothing, and you just touched the case and the dimes and said, great.
Well, I have to say this was a really important moment because both of your inspirations was the cases of François Bourget, right?
Yeah.
And he created a case, a waterproof case actually, that was used in several instances by many different watch brands, but one of them was the legendary Patek Philippe 1463, otherwise known as the Tasse di Tondi. And probably the guy that knows more about this watch than anyone in the world is Auro Montanari.
So, yeah, because I make a book on stainless steel Patek Philippe watches, and then I took photos of many examples of 1463 chronograph by Patek.
Actually, thinking about it, you're probably the only one amongst us that has actually held a steel 1463.
Yeah.
So when you held Andrea and Hamed's watch for the first time, what were the feelings?
Yeah, it was a great feeling because they make a great finishing on the case, great dial, and they make a great job, excellent job. The retro look was perfect.
I agree. And ever the opportunist, I had, since the moment I received my first Furlan Marri watch, because like you, Auro, I had also ordered one, I had always dreamt of a what if, right? Because the watches that you guys had initially created were Mecha Quartz watches, and for a good reason. You wanted to make the culture of vintage watches accessible to a whole new generation. Yeah. And as such, it was an excessively priced watch.
And also the movement Mecha Quartz is really thin compared to other movements on the market at that time. So when we designed this watch, we said, okay, it works well with the feeling of what we wanted to.
And the Mecha Quartz was invented in Switzerland, after that to Japan, and Japan to China.
Yeah.
But I remember since the moment I first put your watch on my wrist, the what if that I kept thinking about was, what if Hamed and Andrea were to create a Swiss mechanical, manual wound, column wheel chronograph version of their famous watch? And I said to the two of you, guys, would you consider to collaborate together on a project, maybe the first Swiss mechanical chronographs for Furlan Marri? And so, Auro, I remember you, what did you say?
Oh, great. I'm available.
And Andrea, what did you think when Auro said great?
I was like, oh, we have to work a lot to make it perfect.
And to collab and doing like a chronograph that we want to do with such a man like him, sorry for repeating it, it will be like a dream come true, to be honest. That's mean our watch and our design inspired like have touched the great people who own important watches.
So, gentlemen, tell me a little bit about the beginning of the design process.
We saw each other in Geneva as well.
Yeah.
We started to design, to sketch, etc. Illustrator, because we do everything actually in the company. We were 2 people at that time. Now we are 4 or 5 people, and yeah, we just begin to sketch, etc. and propose a lot of. I remember the table full
What
of
do you think of
papers,
that,
etc.
I gave just some advice about ends, the proportion of the dial, the scale, the finish of the case. But
The relief
he made
portion.
everything.
You started with a challenge, and the challenge was to identify the right movement. So tell me about how we ended up working together with Solita on this specific movement that we used.
So first we saw that well, there is automatic chronograph, but the mechanical chronograph was more in line, I think. It could also have a more thin case. I know mechanical movements are a little bit thick for some people, but there were a new movement from Solita coming in July that time, and it was 7mm only instead of more from the other supplier. So we asked them, because we have a quite good relationship with Solita as well. They proposed some nice design. They said, okay, if you want to change a bridge, we can change this. They said, why not to do it rose gold? And they said it's okay, it's possible. So, and it was actually the first, I think, yeah, it's the first of their new movement. It's the first in rose gold. And actually, it's a column wheel flyback.
Well, I mean, gentlemen, let's start with the case design, right? Because I think the thing that's important for the audience to understand is a completely different case than the case that we see on the Mecha Quartz watches, right? Tell us a little bit about how you guys created this case with a different bezel than the bezel from your Mecha Quartz watch, and actually very different lugs as well.
We know for a mechanical chronograph, we cannot change the thickness. So what we thought with Auro, he said, why not to put an incurved bezel. And then, thanks to that, I think it makes the case thinner than.
Look at it.
Yeah, when we look at it, so it was nice to see, and that I always said the crown circular brushed, the inside brushed as well. The case back, I remember, so it makes some great contrast between.
In the past, the brands made this kind of finishing, especially in the 30 and the 40 by Langine, Omega, Patek Philippe.
And then let's go from that to the idea of creating a trilogy, right? Because we were doing this as a collaboration. There was kind of 3 parties involved: Furlan Marri, the legendary Auro Montanari, and Revolution Watch, you know. And so I think we were like, why don't we make 3 different dial designs? And so tell me about the dial designs and your approach to these 3 different colors.
We were discussing together, like from time to time, what do you think of this? I had this idea, and do you think the blue, it goes well with the gold print? If it's, you know, will have like a very, like today we were talking about like to change it just a little bit to make it a bit lighter. So yeah, it's a little bit challenging, but I think we are already there.
And the fact I always said I want a sandwich dial, it makes us, it gives much more possibility in terms of finish. Like the first dial can be vertical brushed and the second dial can be circular brushed, so you see different finish. It's again a play.
You know, the look is more three-dimensional.
Tell me more about the hands, because I know you experimented a lot and ended up coming up with CNC machine hands.
Yeah, so we just changed a little bit the hands, because the Mecha Quartz was stamped hands, domed on the true side, but those one are, we wanted a thickness,
a
little bit of thickness. Yeah. So we just said to the supplier to do some tests, and she found a really incredible supplier who can do it in time, and she did the CNC machine hands, which is more, it gives much more presence also on the counter especially.
I mean, the volume is incredible.
Yeah,
it's a three-dimensionality. It's like really like the old Pateks.
The details are very important.
Okay, so let's talk about the 3 different colorways. We have a wonderful olive gray dial, which I think is the epitome of discreet elegance, right? And that's the one that Auro Montanari is
I
wearing.
love this kind of dial.
Then we have a stunning blue and gold dial, which Hamad, you're wearing as well, which I think is a really exuberant dial. And then we have the stunning salmon two-tone dial as well, which Andrea, you and I have a penchant for salmon dials. But this particular sort of execution is stunning also because there's 2 different finishes for these 2 different colorways as well, which really enhances the contrast. So the salmon dial, I'm incredibly honored to say is a Revolution exclusive. So that has Tasti-Toni pushers. Not that I don't love the olive pushers that Auro chose, but it was because when you posted your very first Tasti-Toni pusher on your Instagram was the moment I fell in love with the brand. And I said to myself, whatever this is, I want to know more and I want to support this because I love this. So it's kind of a personal connection.
But you were actually the first to write on the brand. I think we messaged us on Instagram and then said, I can send you a prototype to see, to have critics and to have honest feedback. We just wanted that at the beginning, and you were the first to write, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
These watches are priced at 2,750 Swiss francs, which when I think about it is a pretty extraordinary value, right? Because again, you've got a beautifully finished movement, which is a Swiss manual wind, column wheel, flyback chronograph movement with the display back. So I know we had a long conversation about this because, of course, the original Bourgeois cases were solid case back. Auro, tell us why we decided to do a display case back.
Yeah, because to show this kind of movement with the nice finishing, and why not?
Absolutely. So the few people that I've shown this to, not that I've shown it to a lot of people, they look at it and they go, oh, that's a Furlan Marri. I love Furlan Marri. Then they look at it closer, they're like, whoa, the details in this dial are crazy, you know? And then they're like, oh, it's heavy as well. What's going on? And then they turn it over and then they're like, damn, that's so cool. I like the fact that you're not positioning Furlan Marri to offer complicated watches, but at a price point that's more accessible than pretty much any other brand I can think of, but combined, as Auro points out, with sublime design.
The most important thing in their watches are the aesthetics.
Just to explain to everyone, each of these different watches will be made in 300 pieces. All three of the different versions are the same price, 2,750 Swiss francs. And there will also be collector's box sets with all three of the watches as well. Gentlemen, I would love to thank you so much for this incredible collaboration. You're three of the guys I admire the most in the watch industry. So the fact that we get to work together as friends makes me incredibly happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Auro.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Ahmad.
Thank you.